My hat! Alright, so now we have to remove the front end and the rear end. Now, if you want to replace this gear, the spur gear, you will have to remove the rear end. So you will have to remove just the motor, this part, and then you have to remove this to separate it. So in order for me to separate this, I just realized this is a rear pin from this arm. You will need to remove 1, 2, 3, those 3 screws. So this will be the center screw, you do not need to remove these 2. Those are just holding the differential to the chassis. If you're servicing the differential, you will have to remove them. Alright, so that's an outer, and they are all the same length, therefore it does not matter if you mix these up. There we go. And now this will just slide out. And that is it. Now there is a shim here. I think this is shim. Oh, no, never mind. It's not a shim. That's the bearing. Just a larger bearing. I thought there was a shim there, but there isn't. But here you go. Once you do this, you're going to lift slightly, and you will hear click, or well, it'll just kind of jump out. Once you do this, just grab it lightly, and this should slide out. And you're going to have to move it so that the gear clears. Doesn't want to. Well, there is another option, but there we go. Just pull on it a little harder. But don't overbend the shaft. Notice I was barely trying to clear this. There's only so much play before you bend the shaft. But this is the shaft, and the shafts are actually pretty strong. Well, for the Tec. But once you've removed this, all you do is you just press down. So this is going to click off. You can place it on a table and then just push down. Once you do that, see that pin is the only thing that's holding the spur there, because this actually clicks on. So the pin comes off. Now this will slide off. So if you ever forget which way this goes, just remember the hole goes toward the rear of the car. Now, if you're replacing the spur, you would just pop this bearing out. You can just use a little screwdriver or your tool, and this will just pop out. I'm not going to do it yet, but this will pop out. The reason why I said yet is I'm going to be making some modifications. All right. Now, we have to remove the front. Now, in order to remove the front, there's a variety of ways you can do this. I'm going to remove it with this brace. You can remove it without the brace. You just have to remove these screws, but at that point, it would have been easier to just remove this rear one. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this rear. Now, I think it would be better if I do that. The only reason why I did that is this is the rear of the car. That way I keep the rear parts with the rear parts, front parts with the front parts. All right, here we go. So once you remove that, you're going to have to flip the chassis over. And the screws that you want to remove, well, one, you're going to have to remove this one and this one. This one also goes to your battery tray. For your battery, it's easy. It's just that one and these two. So let's go ahead and remove the outer. There we go. And we have one more on this other side. What I find interesting is the screw is scratched, but the car is brand new. I haven't run it yet. All right, so at this point, let's see. Oh, and you have to remove the center one as well. So it's 1, 2, 3. Now the center one is the same size as the other, so all three are the same size. You do not have to worry about mixing them up. And at this point, this should just slide out, and you will end up with the tub. So here you have the tub. If you wanted to just take everything apart, to remove this piece here, it's just those two screws. To remove the battery tie for the lock, one extra screw, right? You already removed one, you just need the other. And then for this back here, it's just this screw right here, and that's it. But we shall leave this as is. And now we just have these parts here. So at this point, you're probably wondering, how do you open up one of the differentials? Well, it depends on which differential you want to open, but it's going to be the same basic steps. So I'm going to do it with one differential. I'm just going to tell you what to do on each one. So I will do it to the rear. But the steps to take are the following. You want to split this open, and you can see the lines. These are two halves, and they go like this. So it's top, bottom, and they just open top to bottom. So in order to do that, you'll have to remove these screws here, and then you'll have to remove, let's see, I believe these down here, and then this will come out. Might as well do it. So you have these screws on top. Maybe I'll just do the front one. Rear one's easier. Oops. All right. So we have these here. Now, when you are wrenching on vehicles, always make sure you use quality tools. I do like these MIP tools. There's some other brands out there that you can use as well. It doesn't have to be MIP. It's just a brand that I like. All right, once you remove these two, you can actually just, you could remove this with the bell crank, but I'm not going to. So this could pop out, and well, I guess I might as well remove it. Let me remove the brace. So that screw goes there, and they are the same size, so it won't matter when I assemble it if I mix them. Right. Be careful when you remove this not to flip it, because you have these plastic bushings in here. But these would just slide up. So I just removed the bushings. Your bell crank will just slide off. And that is it. Notice there's some bushings down there as well. See those white things? Those are bushings. So that's how you remove the bell crank. This will just slide out. Just remove that screw right here. That's the easiest way. And then the bell crank will just pop off. So if you get an aluminum bell crank, that is a good component to get, aluminum bell crank. This will just pop up. But, well, I keep disassembling more than I plan. But anyway, that's what you do. Now, since I did this, I'm not going to remove these two screws down here. There's no point. The screws that I'm going to remove are these here. 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I will show you which screws to remove on the rear differential, but it's the same idea. There's 1. 2. 3. And then the 4th one. There we go. As soon as you remove the 4th one, it will want to pop up as you're removing. But at this point, just be careful. Lift lightly. There is grease inside. Be careful not to get your hands dirty. But if for some reason you ended up breaking one of these, I have not seen one broken, but I guess it's a possibility. Just remove that screw, this screw, and remember that mount. So like I said, once you remove one half, it's the same process to remove the other half. I'm going to remove this dog bone for now. But this is it. This is how you access your differential. So if you have to service your differential, add grease, maybe it's been a really long time, replace the bearings, that's a possibility. You just open this up and this will just lift, and that is it. And then this, be careful with this, I'll put my driver here, that you just lift as well, and the bearing will want to come off, which is fine if you're taking it apart. But this is it. So that's the pinion. Here's the bearing. I'm going to place them here. As I mentioned, these are new. Do not need to lubricate them, service them. They are fine. So I'm going to place it here. Now, just keep in mind the orientation of the gear. So it's going to go to your left, right? That's the front of the car, left side. Because if you put it backwards, this is going to be spinning the wrong way. So your wheels are going to be spinning opposite of each other, and you're not going to go anywhere. All right, so your differential for this now, notice you have those 2 screws there, 1, and then on the other side, 2. You simply remove those and this will pop out. And then once you remove that, you can take the bearing out. So the bearings will pop out, both of them. And then in order to open your differential, you will simply remove those 4 screws, and then this will pop out. Be careful when you pop it out because there is oil inside. You don't want to spill a bunch of oil in random places. But if you ever feel like your wheel's just locked up and they're not, the differential's not working, you probably broke the little cross inside. But other than that, that's it for the differential. And for the rear, you're going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4. And it'll be the same thing. This will pop up and it'll look exactly, well, maybe not exactly, it's a mirror image. But it'll look similar to this, and again, keep in mind the orientation of the gear. But that is it on how to take these apart. And again, if you can do one side, you can do the other side. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to start reassembling this.